Hello and welcome to the Conversation Coffee Break with your host, Nadine Matheson. As always, I hope that you're well and I hope that you're enjoying your week. Now, this is our last coffee break for season 3 because, as I explained when I released the first coffee break, these are just sample episodes. So, it's like when you go into a coffee shop and they might give you a sample to try. This is what these coffee break episodes have been about. But we will be back officially in season 4, so they will be a regular feature. So I really hope that you've enjoyed listening to these coffee break episodes. And for my last coffee break, I'm in conversation with author Patricia Marques, and we're talking about the last book in her Inspector Reis series, The Burning Woman. If you haven't read Patricia Marques before, her series starts with The Colour of Death. The second book is House of Silence, and the third book is Broken Oaths. And if you like your crime fiction with a bit of a twist, and I mean a speculative fiction twist, then Patricia Marques's Inspector Isabel Reis series is the one for you. Now, as always, all the links to all of the books will be in the show notes. And can I just say thank you to everyone who does support the podcast. And if you would like to support the podcast, you can do so by simply buying me a cup of coffee. Again, the links are in the show notes. Now, normally I would say, sit back or go for a walk. But instead, grab a cup of coffee or tea and enjoy your break. Patricia Marques, welcome to the Conversation Coffee Break.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm just going to be honest because Patricia and I have been chatting for a whole 33 minutes before we officially
started.
We had a really long coffee and tea and sandwich break before we even started this chat.
Yeah.
So, Patricia, can you tell the listeners about your book, The Burning Woman?
So, The Burning Woman, which I will show here.
Yay.
My lovely cover, thank you. Because Nadine reminded me to get the cover. So The Burning Woman is the fourth book in the Inspector Reis series, which is published with Hodder and Stoughton, and it follows Inspector Reis and her partner Voronov in, I guess, their crime solving in Lisbon. So this book is going to be wrapping up the series. So it's goodbye for now, maybe for a long time, I don't know. But it definitely wraps up this arc of her, I guess, her life. And for the first time, I got to write about a serial killer, which I thought would be fun at the time. And then once I started doing it, I was wrong. And so
why was you wrong? Why was you wrong about having fun?
Because you know what? When I was doing the previous 3, and you have to, when you have to plot out like the timelines of the crimes and all of that, it was already hard. So then when I had to do a serial killer, I was like, no, because he's a serial killer, he needs to have more dead people. And so then they had to be historic dead people. And then it was just like, what happened when, but who knew what, who was investigating at the time, why did it not get solved, like what's happening? And then also the method I chose didn't help me. So it just, it was I basically set myself up for pain. It was still interesting, and I am happy I did get to do a serial killer. But yeah, so she's having to kind of solve a crime that initially seems isolated, and then they find out that there are these historic kind of similar deaths that happened before, and then they have to try and get them their person.
See, this is the thing about serial killer thrillers. They're not an easy way out. They're not straightforward, because the thing that always gets me when it's time to do when I get my structural edits back, I guarantee there's going to be a section in my structural edits from my lovely editor saying timeline. And I'm like, I know. Timelines are the bane of my life. And I think with the last book, I think it took me like a good 2 weeks to sort out the timeline before I could start writing the next draft.
It's a nightmare. And I think one of the things about sorting out all structural edits in general is that I don't know how you feel about when how you work through them, but it always feels like, because I'm working from a computer, the screen feels too tiny for all the things that I need to be able to see at once at a glance.
Yeah.
And so I have to get out like A3 sheets of paper with things written on them, and stick them up like in my room or wherever I'm happening. There was the time that with the Colours of Death, I took over the whole kitchen. I had to stick them up with blue tack on the cupboards of the kitchen cupboards so I could view everything. It was on the two in front of me, it was on the two behind. My poor family had to walk through that. I was like, no, don't disturb it. It wasn't that bad, but I still had to kind of, I feel like the details, there are too many details for my tiny brain to just contain all at once. And so it's just also about visually, what can I see to try and sort this out? Otherwise, it's just, I feel like I can't do it. It's nuts. It's nuts.
I feel like this is why I'm not saying I can't edit on screen. I'm sure if I had to, I could. But my preference is to print out the pages and to edit on the hard pages, because I can, it's like I can see it better.
Yeah.
And I think it's like having that expanse of space, even if I'm just scribbling a line or just two words in a little bit of space, but it's having that space and I can see the bigger picture as opposed to just being blocked, I suppose. Constrained, that's a better word, constrained by this page on the screen.
Yeah, that is exactly what it feels like. I think funnily enough, I actually just threw away, and I was like, oh, why are you keeping this? But I just threw away the actual stack of where I did all my edits. It's been sitting on my desk since, God, when did I finish? God, I don't know, April or something? I don't know. Maybe a little bit before that, but it's been sitting there since then, like this huge stack of paper with like the little like page markers and the bloody highlighters and all the notes. I only just chucked it away last weekend. And yeah, but exactly the same. I had to have it printed out. Because even for that as well, you can't do it on an iPad or like whatever kind of digital, a device you might have for your edits. I can only do proof editing on there. I can't do anything else on there because, like you said, I need to be able to go back to the page, have that page out, and then and this one was so bad. I had to literally move. Chunks. It was like doing a jigsaw. The jigsaw.
It is a jigsaw. No, but it's a jigsaw.
Yeah, had to literally be taking chunks out and then figuring out where they needed to slot in, and then you have to go through and make sure the details are consistent with the timeline that you've moved them.
Yeah,
because it was just things were happening at the wrong time, and it was a mind. I won't say the rest of the word because it's expletive, but it was okay. It was absolute mindfuck.
So Patricia, what came to you first with this book, The Burning Woman? Was it the character, a specific scene, the overall premise, or something completely different?
I think I would say does having the serial killer count as the premise? Because I think I knew...
But it's different to the other 3 books you've written. You haven't had a serial... Well, have you?
Yeah, I think... No, I haven't. I mean, they killed multiple people. But this is the first one where you had loads of people. And again, that historic element. Actually, I think I know the idea that came to it. It was actually quite a sad connection for it, which I feel a bit morally... bit like... were my morals in the right place? But I guess as right as I don't know. But it was actually I got the idea because someone who was a very well-known member of the community where I grew up in Portugal, he passed away very unexpectedly. And you really saw the impact of his death on like our neighborhood and just like the online tributes and everything that was coming up, even like people from like singers, really well-known singers in like the Angolan singing sphere, they were all kind of paying tribute to him because he was just such a huge personality. And there was like someone did a mural of him in the neighborhood, everything like that. And for some reason it was that kind of ended up inspiring. I knew that someone that was the victims that was going to be in the book had that kind of impact on her community. And then it kind of built from there. And then I knew that was a kind of a scene I had in my head, that kind of coming together of the community. But also I knew I wanted a serial killer. And so then I had to kind of piece those two things together and grow a story out of it. And then also because it's, the final book, then I had to answer a lot of reader questions or just story questions from Isabel's arc dating back to book 1, because I couldn't just wrap up and not resolve those things. So relationships, romances that people were interested in, and, no spoilers, but a certain character from book 1 who never quite went away, like what happened with that person, and then making sure that those were... So I think I found that quite hard, trying to wrap up all the individual character character arcs for Isabel, because there had been quite a few that accumulated as the series went on, which complicated it. So maybe it wasn't all the serial killer that made it difficult. Maybe it was also getting those kind of things, I's dotted, T's crossed, etc.
Just going back to, when you was talking about just getting rid of the stack, like the hard copy of the manuscript that you've been editing, the one that I always say you've highlighted to death, and you got post-it notes sticking out all over the place and ramble scribblings that only you understand. Anyone else looking at it will just be like, I don't know what this is, it's just a mess. Did it feel like more of a moment when you were throwing it away because this is the end of the series, or was it just I just need to clear my space?
No, I mean, it didn't feel that way because it was the final one. I think I always, with each one that I've had to throw away, I always feel slightly precious about it. I don't know why, because it's already been written. Part of it is from my mum's voice in the back of my head. Whenever we throw something that we haven't torn up in the bin, someone's going to steal it. But it's like, Patricia, who's going to steal this? It's already in the editor's hand and it's on their way to publishing. Well, who's going to steal this? So part of it was that little niggle that you always get from no, don't throw things away like that. You need to tear it up. But part of it is just because, you feel a bit, But other than that, no, I didn't feel anything very sentimental. The one thing I do, actually, I'll show you. The one thing I do feel sentimental about is this. And that's literally books 1 to 4 have all been planned in this notebook.
Oh,
and funnily enough, I literally went all the way to the final page. So I just fit 4 books of planned this. So this is the entire Inspector Reis series in there. So I feel more sentimental about that, which is why it's still on my desk. And I don't know if I'll be able to throw it away.
I wouldn't throw the notebook away. I've thrown away, but eventually, I only threw the second printout of the Jigsaw Man. I think I only threw it out the other day because in my head, and it's stupid. It's just I had to justify it in my head. In my head, I'm thinking if someone turns around and says I stole their work, I plagiarized it, I've got the proof that I did not. Right. So this is why I've kept it. But then I also have my notebooks and everything, all the first little scribbles. I have evidence of that. And then I have to say to myself, but if you just edited on the screen, you wouldn't have had no proof of that. So why are you keeping it? That's the only reason why I've gotten rid of it. Because if people edit on the screen.
With the digital file, you still have their date stamped of when it was created.
You shouldn't have told me that now.
I'm pretty sure it's date stamped, so you can have the digital print of it. And if you are someone who works on Google Docs, I don't. But even the revision or the dates you've made changes, I think there's also, I don't know how to find it, but I know that it does track.
Yeah.
It's not the same, though.
It's not the same. But that's the reason why I kept it. I'm if anyone turns around and says, as they like to do, I came up this idea. No, you never. No, you never, love.
Plus, there's emails. Don't forget there's emails as well that date stamp everything of when you sent it to whom, of when you first mentioned an idea. You're safe.
Exactly.
You're safe.
Thank you. I needed that. So, Patricia, which character surprised you the most whilst writing The Burning Woman?
Oh, which character surprised me the most whilst writing? Do you know, is it bad that I barely remember?
No.
I'm trying to think who surprised me the most. I don't think anyone did surprise me, which I wonder if that makes me boring. I guess I am not okay. I wasn't surprised by any kind of actions or anything like that. But I think one thing that I didn't plan for maybe Daniel or Carla, who are the inspectors who often work alongside Isabel and Voronov. I didn't expect them to have as especially Daniel, I didn't expect them to have as heavy a role as they ended up having in the book.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that they take over completely, but I think they've had a lighter presence in the previous books. But Daniel in particular, I think he has more of a presence here. And I think what I did like was I liked him even more. I've always liked him as a character, but I liked him even more now at the end. I was like, I really do like you. You're like, you're a solid guy. Like we can rely on you. And so I think that was nice. Yeah.
Okay. What's the most random fact you now know because of this book?
Oh my God, the most random fact. Oh, okay. I know one. I'm going to forget all the terminology, but I know one. Did you know that you could potentially track, basically if someone's committed arson or something like that, you can actually, if you manage to find the matches, you can probably trace that back to the manufacturer and then where that's sold. And then, yeah, it was a bit crazy. I was like, what? By one tiny little match? Like, how can you tell that? Like,
From the match?
Yeah. So you can, I don't know if I'm doing the correct kind of, if I'm explaining it correctly, but there is something about a match that you can test, then you can actually figure out what the make is or whatever, and then kind of
what factory made it.
Yeah, it was something a bit more detailed that now the details have just been squeezed out of my brain. But you can get a lot from a little tiny match. So if it happens, that goes into evidence, it could help. And not by fingerprints either. It was literally to do with the match itself and the phosphorus bit and stuff. So I was like, oh, that was interesting. Also how dogs track they actually have dogs who can actually track the scent of, which is a surprise, but it never occurred to me, and they can actually track the smell of the accelerant as well. So I thought that was
really
quite cool. Yeah. So firehouses, I mean, firefighters or fire investigators, I don't know, you can tell clearly that a lot of the stuff that went into my book was made up. But clearly they like the whole thing. But yeah, so that's why sometimes they also have I forgot the official title for them, but I guess working dogs who can help identify certain scents that can inform an investigation. I thought that was quite cool because we love dogs, and so that was nice to know.
It is. You learn something new every day, literally, you do. Okay, so Patricia, was this book harder or easier to write than your last one, and why?
No, they were both as bad as each other, I think. They were both as bad as each other. But you know what?
Oh, God.
The thing is, I think my easiest book to write was book 3. And I think that's just because that was the closest to the finished product I ever came with a first or second draft. But to be fair, I think book 3 and book 4, not to get too deep into things, but book 3 and book 4 just came at very hard lifetimes. So things were going on in my life that impacted how I was basically writing the book and when I could write the book and all of that. And then it just all kind of exacerbated and probably made it seem a lot worse than what it really was. Because I don't think that actually, when I look back at it, it wasn't the revisions and everything like that. They weren't any worse than previous ones that I had to do. I think they were pretty in line with the first one. But I know with Broken Oaths, I found it really hard because of the shift from Lisbon to London. And I think with this one, obviously we were back in Lisbon and that was okay. But then, I think both of them were as hard as each other, but I think it was more owed to life stuff than it was to than it was the actual process itself. I mean, writing is always, they always say you kind of forget. Don't they say it's like giving birth? You kind of forget the pain, and then you do it again, and then you remember how bad it was. I've never done it, so I can't say. But
I mean, I think if we documented every single painful moment of this book writing process, and I'd say book writing process from coming up with the idea, talking to your editors about it, doing that first draft, doing the second draft, doing edits. Like if you document every single painful moment and then you reread it, I don't think you'd do it again. Because you're like, why would you put yourself willingly through this?
It was not. I think I may have messaged you when I was doing. I probably did message you because I remember I finished the first draft when I was in Madeira. I had to go, which lovely, sounds great, but I wasn't because the weather was lovely and I was inside a hotel room. I couldn't leave, and I was there, and I think I finished the first draft at I think it was 6 a.m. and I had 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Slept through. That was my second night where I'd only had like maybe an hour or two sleep because I was across the deadline. And I just remember getting to the end, which wasn't even the actual end that eventually came. And I was like, that's it. I'm ending it here. They get in that vehicle and I don't care. I don't care anymore. This is how it's going. I didn't edit for grammar. I didn't edit for anything. It was just horrible. I was sleep deprived. I was tired. I was just ready to be done with it. And that's how I sent it. I sent it in like a fugue. It was so bad. But yeah, no sleep, which, you know, I've done before. But I think also I'm older now, so I feel it more. Like before, when I was younger, I could get away with this nonsense and still wake up feeling refreshed. No, it was like I was hungover. It was horrible.
No, I've never been one for nighters. Never. It's just not in my genetic makeup. I'm just not. My brain stops working at 10. So the idea of staying up till 6.
I'm not sure that my brain was working, and I think it was reflected in the draft that I turned in. Poor Kate. I don't know what she read when or what her brain. She must have been like, "What the fuck?" when she opened that document. Because it was pretty decent at the start, and I think she probably just saw a descent into madness as the further she went along the manuscript. Yeah.
I think you can tell. When I think about some of my first how some of my first drafts have ended, they have literally been like, we found the baby. I don't care. We can fix it in the next draft.
Exactly.
We found the baby. The end. Or literally, I think Henley and Remuta, they literally walk off into the sunset in one of the early drafts. And I'm like, they don't care. They're off. They're going to get dinner. We don't need anything else. I'm done. They're done.
Yeah.
All right, Patricia, without giving away any spoilers, did the book end the way you originally planned, or did it surprise you?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Please tune into my podcast, Ruthless Truth, hosted by me, Truth Davis. In this forum, I provide opinion, thoughts, truths on a wide range of topics based on my unique life experiences. In this week's episode, I tell the story of my pivotal meeting with Steve Jobs and how it changed the course of the development of the iPhone. It's a fun listen. Please check us out.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
Okay. No, so the case element did, although I realized after it went all through this that there was like a tiny thing that I wanted to include in there that I completely forgot, and I was like, I'll have to live with that. It's fine. I just thought it would have added a nice creepy detail, but it's fine. But one of the longer term arcs, there was only way, I just didn't know how I was going to wrap it up. I didn't. And I knew that, and I think that's one thing that I'm not sure how readers will receive. I feel like I'm happy with the way I wrapped it up. But some readers might disagree. But I wasn't expecting to wrap it up that way, but I was pleasantly surprised at how I felt with how it did. But yeah. So yes, I'm happy. I was surprised by that element, but the actual case stuff, I knew how it was going to end, and it did end as planned.
Okay. So did you ever hit the wall when writing this book, and how did you get past it?
I hit it multiple times.
I don't even know. I mean, I have to ask you because we're on the podcast, but I know you hit the wall.
multiple times, and it wasn't like I bumped into it with a shoulder. It was like a full it's like, when I was young, I actually walked into a post because I was looking behind me, and my mum loves to tell this story, and I walked full into that post, forehead hit bang on. That's how I kept running into the walls in this place. How did I get over it? How did I get past it? I honestly don't know. I think I just, when they say, because I think we've talked about this before, and I might have said that I didn't used to believe in writer's block.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of do and I don't. I know that it can happen where you get stuck, but I do think that you do just need to write the next word and write the next word. And that's literally how I kind of got past it. It's like, okay, well, just, you're on, I don't know, word 3,352. Let's just get to 3,400. Let's go. So I would kind of like get myself up by the hundreds, like just get to the hundredth, and then we kind of, and it was literally just, well, you just need to write this next bit. Just get it moving a little bit more. And it was like baby steps and then I was like, just write what happens, Patricia. He took a step. So just write, he took a step, he looked up. Well, he looked up. So just write that. It was kind of like, you really had to just tell yourself, just tell them the next action, whatever gets you moving forward. And I think it kind of boiled down to that, but at like an excruciating pace whenever you got stuck. Yeah.
See, I don't know. There are some days I believe in writer's block. Then I listen to other people and they're like, writer's block's not a thing. I'm like, no, maybe it's not a thing. And then you have it and you're like, no, it's a thing. I don't know. I think it just changes. I suppose it depends on what I'm doing, because there are some instances where I feel like, no, I'm stuck. I think that's the difference if you're stuck. And when I'm stuck, I'm like, this isn't working. I'm stuck. Let me just leave. So I just have to leave the desk, leave the project, walk away from it. I don't know. If you ask me next week, I probably will say, writer's block's a thing. I don't know.
I think it boils down to writing is difficult.
Yeah,
I think sometimes we forget how difficult it is. And, I know there's a lot of myths of, the writing was flowing that day. I have not experienced many days where the writing was flowing. I think,
but you've had good writing days, because
I have. Yes, you do have.
We've had good writing days,
especially I think when you're writing a particular scene that you were really looking forward to, and you've had that crystal clear in your head. That's easier to walk through, even if your writing pace slows down because you want to get it right. You still have the vision in your head, so you're that's a really nice moment where you'll get to reach one of the scenes that you've been planning forever. And I'm one of those people where often I'll build an entire story around a specific scene. And then that scene ends up being tiny, but it doesn't matter. But I think that writing those scenes always feels better than writing the rest of the book. And that's a little bit easier. And I think even though that's still hard, I guess maybe that is my version of the writing flow. It's when I know exactly that part and I can write it because I know what happens next. I know who's there. I know who's looking. I know the sun is shining, whatever that might be. Yeah. So that's where maybe writing is easy.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense to me. I think which is why social media can sometimes be the enemy of a writer. When you're scrolling on Instagram, I'm saying Instagram, but you're scrolling on Instagram and someone's they're showing a photo of their word count for the day. And they're like, oh my god, I've written 3,500 words, and you're looking at your word count and you're like, I've written 10. Yeah,
I've been on both ends of that scale, like where I've written 0 or I've written a stupid amount. But yeah,
it's right. It's the writer's life. So Patricia, what are you working on next?
I'm a bit stuck on what to go with. I've got a couple of ideas that I want to work on, but I'm stuck on what to pick. One of them is pretty, I think, as fully formed as an idea can be before you start the outlining stage.
Yeah.
And that's got a little bit of time travel, crime, as well. And then there's others where it's a little bit more speculative, a little bit more ambiguous, but they're kind of more attractive to me because they feel so much darker. A lot of stuff around media narratives and things like that. So it's just like, what do I pick? Maybe I need to just write them down and go to my agent and be like, listen, do you have a preference? I don't know if not that I feel like if my agent did have a preference, I'd be like, great, I'll write that. The irony would probably be he'd say that and I'd be like, you know what, I'm feeling this one more, so I'm gonna go this one. I don't know. But I guess it's weird because I'm going to be back on submission. And so it feels like you're starting again.
Yeah.
So maybe just write, sit down, see what gets you where. I don't know. But yeah, there is a novel coming, so I will be working on it. I think starting at the end of this month is probably, so I need to make up my mind before then, because that's when I'm going to start proper work on it. So I've got a new shiny notebook ready to go. I'll show you my new shiny notebook. I'll show it to you.
That is the start of Patricia's new project.
There we go.
I love that it just says nope.
It does. No, here we go again. Maybe he's trying to tell me something. But yeah, that's the new one.
All right, so Patricia, what message or feeling do you hope readers take away from The Burning Woman?
Killing is bad. Don't do it.
I shouldn't laugh, but it's like, well, yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, don't do it. It's not great. But I hope that they walk away from it feeling, I guess, fulfilled as readers. I hope they walk away thinking, you know what? Didn't mind that ending. I do also hope that they walk away curious for more. Not in the sense that, oh no, so much was left unsaid, but just I love the idea of readers always wondering what the characters went on to do with their lives and how things progress. So I guess if anything, I hope they walk away with an affection for the characters and hoping that, you know, they live a good life and that Isabel gets what she needs. Bless her. God knows she goes through a lot. But yeah.
You do put your characters through a lot. Before I ask you our last question, are you going to miss your characters, Patricia? Because this is the end of a series, and that's a moment.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't actually thought about it. I mean, I didn't think I would, but now that you're asking, and now that I'm like talking about them, yeah, I will actually. I mean, it's been 5 years of it.
Longer than that when you think about it.
Yeah. So that's a long time to spend with the people you made up in your head. Don't know how that sounds in terms of like, you know, psychological. But yeah, I will miss them. And I think someone asked me this on Blue Sky and we were talking about this, and I will probably be writing like little snippets, like little timestamps of them, nice. which I may share on Patreon or not. I don't know, just to kind of show where they've ended up. And I actually ended up quite attached to my English characters, or the characters in the book set in London. I know what happens to them, and I'd love to kind of write about it. So I probably will do a scene. Poor Angela, it was not great for her. But it was, yeah. So there'll be more, but just not, you know, not in the long form, at least not for a very long time to come. But I will miss them. I will play around with them, torture them some more in my head.
All right, so finally, to end our coffee break, which book, film, show, or video game do you recommend?
Funnily enough, just finished watching Department Q 2 days ago.
Oh, on Netflix.
2 days ago? Yesterday. Yeah, it was really great. Oh, he's an arsehole. He's fantastic. They're all arseholes in their own way, which is even more fantastic. But really enjoyed it. Oh, okay. Second one, Department Q, but also harking back to my teen days and Point Horror days, absolutely loved the Fear Street trilogy. They were really gory, fun, and I would recommend them as well.
Okay. Well, that just leaves me to say, Patricia Marques, thank you for joining me for a coffee break.
Thank you. Thanks, Nadine. Thanks for having me.
And that's it for this coffee break. Thank you so much for joining me. Starting from season 4, we'll be bringing you regular coffee breaks. 30-minute episodes perfect for a quick chat with your favourite authors about their latest books. And here's the fun part. Next season, we are answering your questions. If there's something you've always wanted to ask an author, send it in. Email your question to theconversation@nadinematthieson.com and we might just answer it in a future episode with a special shout out to you, of course. Until next time, keep reading, keep listening, and I'll see you soon for another coffee break. Oh, and before I forget, don't forget to subscribe, follow, like, review, and share this episode with your friends. Your support keeps the podcast growing, and if you head down to the show notes, you can also support the podcast by buying us a cup of coffee. The links are in the show notes.